In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Hello and welcome to In the Tunnel, our bracket reveal show.
It's Selection Monday, not to be confused with the National Selection Sunday, which is this coming weekend. We bring to you your prelude, your amp up, your hype up show. This is for our rendition of March Madness, and it's Selection Monday. What can I say?
Yep. So, why don't we just start? So we have, as we said when we were doing the team selection, we have all of the teams now seeded into each quadrant of the bracket, and we're gonna go through each quadrant, starting with the top left, and see what the matchups are.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, again, top left. First we have 1 versus 16, which is Florida State versus Cleveland State.
And I will say, sorry to interrupt, for those who did not hear, in our prior show at the end, we decided that we were going to do closed door bracket reveal. We gave you guys all the teams, but we were going to let the wheel speak for itself to only the two
Yep.
of us. We did random chance yet again, but we thought selecting the field in itself while also selecting the seating was maybe a little too much to do. And so we decided to do that behind closed doors. But as Sean said, we do have Florida State as the 1 seed out of the ACC and out of the Horizon League. We did have Cleveland State, who is playing tonight, losing currently early in their game to Wright State. We have them at our 16 seed.
Right. Our 8-9 is Coastal Carolina and Cal Baptist. They have pretty equal records.
Mm-hmm.
So, good matchup, I guess.
Cal Baptist coming out of the Western Athletic. Coastal Carolina is coming out of the Sun Belt.
Right. And so while we were also randomizing the seeds, right? The 11th seed turns out to be the play-in stage for the two teams for this quadrant. The 16th seed will be for 2 quadrants. The 11th seed will be for this one and another one.
Yes, the West region has an 11 seeded play-in. That we won't be doing the wheel for these rounds today. This is just purely a bracket reveal, but just know that we've got that coming up when we get down to the lower level of the bracket in this region.
Yep.
But first, we have at the 5 seed, we have West Virginia out of the Big 12, and we have Southeast Louisiana out of the Southland Conference.
Right.
Louisiana being a team that kind of comes out of nowhere, but strong this year, that 18-13. While West Virginia of Power 5 fame has maybe not the best record, but they do have a reputation behind their program.
Yeah, I mean, following that up, you have 2 below 500 teams in Alabama, A&M, and Merrimack.
Yes, Alabama A&M coming out of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Merrimack is coming out of the Northeast Conference. So
Okay.
a little bit of a geographic
Yeah.
differential, but
Yeah, and
Merrimack.
the 6th seed for this, waiting on the play-in stage, is Oregon State at 3-26.
Yep, Oregon State out of the Pac-12, one of the worst teams, but a Power 5 team. Maybe they kept the game to Arizona within 30 points or something.
Yep, I
Well,
guess.
then the winner of our playing game to be determined. We have Omaha out of the Summit League. We have Indiana State, Larry Bird's alma mater, out of the Missouri Valley Conference.
Right. Um. So we'll see who gets in to the top 64 out of that. And following that, we have Stanford at the 3 seed and North Carolina A&T at 14.
North Carolina A&T, a little bit of a bumpy year.
A little bit less than
Stanford,
stellar for both.
right. Stanford, not known as a powerhouse in the Pac-12, but the wheel has deemed that these two were destined to be opponents, and we will give the wheel what it so desperately wants, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And then at 7-10, which usually is a close matchup, we have Kansas at 25-6 and Northwestern, with Kansas taking the lower seed. So I don't know what the wheel's thinking there, but hey, Kansas has to prove itself, I guess.
Indeed. Especially against a Big Ten opponent such as Northwestern, which really is not known for having basketball of any kind,
Yeah.
at least not good enough. Normally, they're a 10 seed at best in the tournament.
Right, and rounding out these 16 teams is the 8th matchup. We have Rutgers at the number 2 seed and Brown at the 15 seed.
Rutgers actually having a decent year, knocking off a bunch of ranked teams. And then Brown comes out of the Ivy League to do what Ivy League teams do and try to outsmart their opponents.
Right. Yeah, so here are the first. So out of the 68 teams, we have 17 here on the wheel decided this. So hopefully the matchups that
Western
you
region.
see are good.
These games will be played somewhere between North Dakota and California.
Right. All right,
It's the
on
Western region.
to the bottom left or the east, right? So this one has the wild card or the play-in at the 16 seed, and both names were so long that I had to abbreviate them.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Right, and we have Cincinnati at the 1 seed, which will face the winner of the play-in game of Middle Tennessee and Eastern Illinois.
Yes, I actually found out today Middle Tennessee, one of only a handful of teams in Division One basketball this year to be undefeated at home. Unfortunately for
Ah.
them, playing tournaments are hosted at neutral site games. So the Conference USA Middle Tennessee will be playing the much inferior Eastern Illinois, who is 5-26 out of the Ohio Valley. And they will be facing off against Cincinnati at the 1 seed out of the American Athletic Conference.
Right. And then we have our 8-9 matchup in Detroit Mercy and Texas Tech. Again, the wheel deciding that the higher win team is technically the lower seed, although it's not as disproportionate, as 7-10. I guess it's only one off.
That's correct, although the wheel does not factor in strength of schedule, as the Horizon League team has a better record than the Big 12 team.
Yep.
Now, what we make of that, nothing.
Nothing.
It's not for us to decide.
The wheel
Currently
is
on the
gospel in this.
Wheel is gospel. Stay tuned for next year for the 5th anniversary, the Church of Wheel.
Yeah. Okay. Continuing though, we have Campbell and East Carolina as our next matchup.
Yes, Campbell coming out of the Big South Conference, the Camels, and another team out of the American Athletic Conference to accompany Cincinnati. It is Eastern Carolina. East Carolina not having a great year, but they're not necessarily known for basketball. They're more of a football school. They actually sit right behind Cincinnati, which is, I guess, just enough of disparity to go from 1 seed to 12 seed. Um,
Yeah.
but in the Horizon or Big South League, the Camels are sitting pretty in fifth. Maybe not the best team, but a team that is potentially capable of making a run. And they're 16 and 13.
Right. Then we have North Dakota and Jacksonville State as a 4-13.
Yes, sir. Jacksonville State,
Uh,
not Jacksonville University, the team that did not make this tournament, also one of the teams that was undefeated at home. Jacksonville State, 11-4 at home, not the worst, but in the Atlantic Sun uh conference, they're sitting at the top of Group A with a 21-10 record. We'll see if they actually, will make the tournament in real life, but we're not playing that right now. We're looking at a team that's first in their division in their conference against a team that is dead last in their conference, North Dakota out of the Summit League.
right. And again, the wheel does not take in the
Common sense.
record as the seating parameter, it seems.
No, I would say not.
As this one shows, and the next matchup shows in Delaware and Dayton, the 21-9 21-9 win-loss
Yeah.
teams are just
There
given
you
the shaft.
go. Pause. All right. But yeah, moving on. We have Delaware in the 6th seed. And they'll be taking on the 11th seed. Again, we want to note the play-in game for this was the 16 seed in the East region, which we are recapping.
Yep.
So we've gone west, and then now we're on east. Delaware comes out of the or Colonial Athletic Association. In real life, they are currently up at halftime or in the second half against conference leader Towson, trying to make it in real life and in fake life. They will be hoisting against Dayton, the third best team in the Atlantic 10, home to schools such as Davidson and VCU. Dayton is 13-4 in home games, but only 6-5 in away games. They're riding a 2-game win streak and 22-9 on the year.
Yep. Uh, Following that, we have St. Peter's and Marist,
What,
which,
yeah,
I
what would
mean,
you
Marist kind of deserves the 14 seed as they are 14-14 as of when the wheel chose these teams, by the way.
indeed? Yes, there is a little bit of a difference between now that we're in conference tournament season. There are going to be some inaccuracies in our graphic just because it doesn't make sense as these conference teams play every day to try to wrap up their season that we'll be able to match pace.
Yep.
St. Peter's 16-11 out of the MAAC. They're winners of 4 straight, whereas Marist has lost 2 in a row to make them 14-15 on the year.
Ooh.
But let's see here, 7-9 away games for Marist, 7-7 for St. Peter's. It still could be close to a toss-up.
Yeah. And following that, we have the 7-10 matchup with Radford and Canisius.
Yes, indeed.
Uh,
Radford.
Canisius sitting pretty at 10-20. Probably.
Well, it's not really sitting pretty, but compared to Radford, they are not too far off. Radford out of the Big South Conference is
Yep.
11-18. They host a 3-12 away record.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something that you want to see come tournament time. But if you are Radford, you'd like to see your opponent with a worse road record. That's where Canisius comes into play with a 1-15 away record. That being said, Canisius is a little bit dangerous right now. They're on a 3-game win streak.
Oh, okay. And rounding out the bracket, for the first time, we have a 20-win team as the higher seed in Wake
Yes.
Forest and Arkansas State.
Not only that, Wake Forest cleaned up this year. Had some trophies handed out today with best coach in the conference. We've really revitalized their program. But that being said, out of the ACC, they're still only 5-5 in away games, whereas Arkansas State, lovely Google is telling me that Arkansas State is not a real place. So let's find out what's going on ESPN, a site that I don't like using.
Yeah. I mean, as of
They
when they
are
were chosen,
8.
they were 18-10.
Yes, and now they are 18-11.
Yep.
We're trying to figure things out ever so slowly.
Yep.
Arkansas State is 6-7 in away games. And if you think I'm going back to Google after this, you can.
All right. Well,
Not going to say it.
that wraps up these matchups.
Yeah, the East looking a little bit fierce, a little bit competitive.
Yep.
I don't know which of the two regions that we've seen so far is more competitive. I would say maybe the West, hosting multiple Big 10 teams and Big 12 teams in the West. But, the East has some firepower too with
Yeah.
Texas Tech, with Delaware, and with Wake Forest. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's Wake Forest's path to lose,
Oh,
but the
definitely.
wheel does not choose how these things go with, heavy hearts or any kind of emotional attachment. So we'll see.
Right. And so we're moving to the right side of the bracket in the
Just
South.
moving to the South. That's what I used to do back in the day.
Yeah. So here we have a 16 team as the play-in.
Yes.
Seattle and South Carolina
Yes,
will be
South
facing
Carolina.
the 1 seed in Sacred Heart
Yes,
at 10 and
Sacred
20. How the
Sacred
how the
Heart.
wheel chose the 1 seed, I don't know.
And how they chose this team that is 10-20 with a 6-12 conference record to represent the 1 seed out of the Northeastern Conference is another thing altogether. But Sacred Heart, 4-15 in away games. They normally play a little bit better at home, but not really. I think there's a real opportunity for upset here as Seattle comes out of the Western Athletic Conference with a 14-4 conference record. They're 23-8 overall, 6-6 in home games, which must have upset the wheel and or committee. Now, out of the SEC conference, the South Carolina Gamecocks are 18-12. They are 4-7 away, and they are 0-6 against any team in the polls. The good news is, ain't none of these teams in the polls. So, South Carolina still has a chance to move on and do some big things.
Yeah, but then the wheel has kind of this region. It's literally down to their 8-9 matchup with the 20-10 Nichols versus the 24-4 Providence.
Right. Nichols does play a decent away record with 7-7. But Providence has just been on a tear recently. They're 7-2 in away games. They're 4-2 against the poll. And
Yeah,
they're
but
24-4
again,
over.
these two teams have the best records in this whole side of the bracket.
Maybe that's why they're so close in seeding.
Yeah, but it don't look good. Like if you look at the other two regions, you had the records pretty diverse, so you could see some contenders.
I just want to quote you on that. Sean Menon said at 7:23 p.m. on today, March 7th, "It don't look good about regarding this bracket. It don't look good.
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good indeed." But moving on, Nevada hosts the 5 seed in this bracket. They are 6-12 in conference, but 12-17 overall. There's
Yep.
3-9 in away games, and they've lost their last 4 games. Stumbling into the tournament, but let's see if it's any better being with Santa Barbara.
In
And Santa
Northeastern?
Barbara.
Oh, UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, UC Santa Barbara.
Oh, I think I messed up somewhere.
Yeah, the seed number is supposed to be 12.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 12. That's a different team. Give me one sec. I can get what the actual team is supposed to be.
Right, paused.
No, I'll get it. I have it here. Yeah, the 12 seed for the South.
Edit this out.
Huh?
We're probably gonna have to edit this out.
The 12 seed for the South is USC, not UC Santa Barbara.
Okay, USC the Trojans
At 25-5. I think yeah.
Yes,
It's
they're
just
now 25-6, but they're 9-3 in away games.
yeah, I mean they for us on the outside looking in, we see USC as the favorite here.
I UCSB twice.
USC as the favorite here. Whereas the wheel apparently just doesn't see USC at all when making the graphic. So it puts 6 twice. That I will go fix for next time.
All right, it wouldn't be our podcast if it didn't have some kind of hiccup.
Yeah. And then at 4 we have Troy against the 13 seeded Idaho.
Yes, Troy is 20-11 out of the Sun Belt. They're 8-6 in away games. Idaho, on the other hand, only 1-12 in those same away game categories.
I mean, also, are they still 8-22 or did they get worse?
They somehow got better.
Oh,
In the form of being 9-21.
wait.
Where the fuck did we get 8-22 from?
Hey, no idea.
All right. Anyway, we're powering through all the mistakes at this point.
All right, now we actually have UC Santa Barbara at the 6th seed and Northeastern on the complete opposite side of the bracket from Northwestern.
Yes, Santa Barbara being 5-7 in away games, but they are the winners of their past 5 out of the Big West, and they are going up against Northeastern out of the Colonial. They are bringing up the rear, though. They are 0-12 in away games, and I'm guessing their last game was one of them because they lost that. They are 9-22 on the year.
Yeah, they got, I guess, slightly better.
No, they got slightly worse.
Well, I mean, 8-21, 9-22.
They're different teams, though.
Hmm.
Again, this is not Idaho that we're talking about.
No, Northeastern, right?
Yes, they're
Yeah.
9-22.
Yeah. So when they were chosen, they were 8-21. So they played 2 games and they went 1-1.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah. Following we have the 3 seed Hampton and against 14 Louisville.
All right. Out of the Big South Conference, Hampton is 2-11 in away games. They've lost their last 2. I'm going to go ahead and guess that one of those 2, at the very least, was on the road. Hampton is going to play Louisville. Bringing up in the 10th spot in the ACC. They are 12-18, having one of their worst years in recent history.
Yep.
They are 2-10 in away games and losers of their last 4.
Okay. Then we have UMBC and Southern Illinois.
Out of the America East Conference, UMBC is 17-13. They are 6-9 in away games, winners of their last 4. In Southern Illinois, the Salak guys are 16-15 and 4-8 in away games.
Right. Again, the wheel doesn't care for records, so UMBC is the lower one.
Yes. And speaking of lower ones, moving to our 2 seed, the Ole Miss Rebels are 13-18, with a 2-7 away record
Yeah,
and
but they're
no
playing
defeats in
Dartmouth
the
at the
last
15
4.
seed.
Yeah, and let me tell you a little bit about Dartmouth. They're just as bad, basically, when it comes to away games. They're 4-11, and they are 9-16 on the year. Dartmouth amazingly does better in their own conference than anywhere else, despite the fact that the rest of the conference probably knows about Dartmouth.
Right. Okay, so on to the last. Yeah, this one has the same issue where the 6th seed is duplicated. I will again go to fix that later. But um for this last quadrant of the bracket, we have Charleston Southern as the 1 seed at 6-25 against Montana State at the 16 seed with a quite reversed record, if I don't say so myself.
Yes, and speaking of that reverse record, Charleston Southern is 1-15 in conference this year. They are 1-13 in away games, and they are bringing up the rear when it comes to the Big South.
Maine, Montana State.
Montana State. Let me tell you a little bit about them. They're number 1 in the Big Sky. They actually hit a buzzer beater yesterday. They are taking that momentum into this tournament with a 9-6 away record that includes a 3-game winning streak and a 24-7 overall record.
Okay. Then we have Coppin State and Evansville, both pretty down there in the standings.
Yes, absolutely. And Coppin State is, a lowly 4-16 when it comes to away games. But Evansville, not much, you know, of a drop off there. They're 2-11 in those same away games.
Right. And then we have the 5-12 matchup, which is Oklahoma State and Wofford, if I'm saying that properly.
Yes, it's Wofford, unfortunately.
And Oklahoma State is 14-15, while Wofford
They
is
are
18
now
and 12.
They are now 15-15. And not only are they 15-15, they're 3-8 in away games. Whereas Wofford, maybe the dumbest sounding school name ever, is 7-8 in away games, but they are 19-13.
Okay.
That Little
Uh,
Mike Grudge is strong with me.
okay. Then we have the 4 seed in UCLA versus the 13 seed in Colgate. I gotta say, Colgate is actually the most plain logo.
Most
Even
plain
like
logo.
Syracuse's
It's the
S.
Cubs logo with less color.
Yeah, even like
Somehow there's less.
Syracuse's S, at least like they have a secondary color that's not white, you know?
Hmm. All
Uh
right.
I mean, same with UCLA. I actually had to go find their secondary color because their main logo is only one color.
Yes, it's yeah. I could have told you that. You didn't need the Google machine for that one.
Well,
Um.
I wanted to get the actual color.
Oh yeah, I could have told you that. Like not like the hex, but
Yeah. Both these teams are doing pretty well with over 20 wins, though.
Not only that, like USC, UCLA is a ranked team. So
Oh,
not only that, we have ranked representation, like a bad attorney. Um. So UCLA is 8-4 in their away games and 23-6 on the year, and they will be playing Colgate, who is number 1 in the Patriot League. They are 8-10 in away games, but where they dominate is at home. So if they get a game close to home, they are 14-1. And not only that, Colgate is winners of their last 14 straight games. That means at one point Colgate was what, 8-11 on the year, and
yep,
they're now 22-11.
yep.
That's turning around your season.
Following that, we have Syracuse at even, or when they were picked, they were even, and versus the winner of the play in Maine and Fordham.
Yes, Syracuse is going to occupy the 6th seed at about 8th in the ACC. They're 15-16 and 3-8 in away games. And they're going to be going up against the toss-up of Maine and Fordham. Maine being 3-15 in their own conference, 6-23 overall, 1-14 in away games, and they'll be playing against Fordham, who is 3-9 in away games, 15-15 overall. And those are our 11 seeds.
Right. Following that, we have Marquette at the 3 seed and Furman at the 14.
Yes, Marquette 19-11 out of the Big East, good enough for 5th. And then they are going to be playing Furman. Marquette 4-7 in away games. Furman 8-8, and Furman is holding a 22-11 record out of the SoCon.
Okay. And then we have Kent State and UAB, again, both holding a 20 wins or more.
Yes, Kent State at 21-9 in the 7th seed. They are 8-4 in away games, and UAB is 7-4 in away games, so almost an even matchup there. UAB is 24-7 on the year, and they're coming out of the Conference USA.
Right, and the last matchup we have is UT Rio Grande Valley and Niagara.
Yes, UT Rio Grande Valley is going to be the 2nd seed in this Midwest region.
At a whopping 8-21 or worse.
8-22 now, my friend. They are 3-12 in away games. They are 3-15 in conference. Good enough for 11 games behind New Mexico State. They are 8-22 overall, as we said, and then they're going to be going up against the 15 seed Niagara out of that Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, also known as the MAAC. They are 5-10 in away games, 7-4 at home, 14-15 overall, and winners of their last 2. And that's where we leave things in our bracket.
Right. So, do we want to, I don't know. I think that quadrant is kind of stacked. They had so many 20-win teams or more,
exactly,
or close. That quadrant has a high, if games are played out, that quadrant should have a high chance of winning.
Oh, yeah. Major upside there. The only thing is only one team survives in that quadrant, which means that, it's only the strongest survive, but once the strongest kills all the others strong, then, it is still a weaker force in theory.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to our bracket reveal, and as the weeks go on, we will tell you how the wheel has faded these games.